Welcome back to the Relatable Black Girl, where I'm your host, Simone. And on this episode, I want to talk about overcoming and becoming. And by that, I mean, I want to talk about the obstacles I had to overcome in my life in order to become the woman that I am today. I just had a birthday yesterday and I am 29 years old. And I have a lot of girls who are like younger than me who ask me like, how does it feel? Like, how do you feel? And the answer is, I feel great. I feel great. I feel like I'm at the best that I've ever been in my entire life. Mentally, physically, emotionally, the best that I have ever been. And a lot of that is from the lessons that I've learned, the things that I've had to overcome, and how I applied them to my life. I've always been someone who wanted to age with grace. I never wanted to be the girl who wish I was still young. And I would hear people all the time, I wish I was still in high school. And it's like, your life must really, really suck if you want to be in high school and be told where to go, when to be here, when to be there, live with your parents and have rules. Like, your life must really, really suck. Okay. Because my life just keeps getting better as I age. It gets easier, it gets better. And like I said, I just keep learning lessons that help push me forward. I feel like I'm someone who sees things from two different perspectives because I've been on both sides of different situations. For instance, I used to date a guy and he wasn't that nice to me, but I wanted to be with him. So I kind of put up with it. And eventually I found myself taking my anger out that I had towards him, my anger, my frustration on other people, but not him, because I wanted to be with him and I wanted things to work. When it came down to him, I was just trying to prove him wrong about the negative things that he felt about me. Like I would, let me cook, let me clean, let me get my hair done, let me get my nails done. Let me be the best girlfriend I can be to show him like I'm who he should be with. But in reality, it was nothing that I could do right to make that man happy. And in my mind, I thought that I could. And a lot of the anger and resentment, things that I felt towards him, I took it out on others. And I feel like I've had the same thing with my relationship with my parents. Certain things that my parents did to me that I didn't like, I found myself doing it to other people. And it's like, well, why are you doing it to other people if you didn't like it? And to be honest, I do not know why. I can't even answer that. Maybe I wanted people to feel how I felt. Maybe I eventually thought nothing was wrong with it. I have no idea. And then I've also been on the side of it where I'm trying to be friends with or be around someone who is in a bad relationship or have a bad relationship with their family member who they are very close with. And they're trying to take their anger and problems out on me, or they just want to vent every single day about this person to me. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a rehab center. Some people's problems are bigger than you. Sometimes their problems are bigger than themselves. And sometimes people are stuck in toxic cycles of abuse and they don't really see anything wrong with their behavior, even if you point it out to them. And I just feel like the best thing to do in that type of situation is to walk away. When I was being a bitch, being mean, going through what I was going through with whoever, taking it out on others, people walked away from me. And I was upset. For a long time, I just felt like if you're supposed to be my friend, you should be like there for me. But I had to realize that like that was not their problem. And to be honest, that problem had started to become beyond me because I started to do things just out of habit. Not even having any like self-awareness that I'm even doing it. And it was not their problem to take on or to help me fix or solve. It was my own problem that I had to deal with and they were not wrong for walking away. And I am not wrong from walking away from situations where I feel like this is too much for me. I don't want to sit on the phone for 3 hours every day and hear you talk about a man that you're not going to leave. I don't want to be picked apart because you feel like somebody else is picking you apart. Because now they're putting you in that cycle of abuse too. Now you're a part of the cycle. And you're going to start having resentment towards that person. I feel like people have walked away from me in those situations. And once they saw that I was doing better, I was open to letting them back into my life. I was like, oh, you left me while I was down or while I was going through something. I completely understand. People have their own problems and issues that they're going through. And I had to have an understanding of that and be like, yeah, now that I'm in a better space, me and you can have a better friendship, or maybe me and you can have a better relationship, whatever that means, you know? And I feel like I'm the same way with others. Like, I've had to walk away from people because I feel like you keep putting yourself in the same situation and then you're coming to me, and I'm so annoyed with being the person that you run to every time. I'm so annoyed with being the person that you want to vent to every day about the same problems that you won't do anything to solve. But if you do eventually start to solve those problems, heal, move forward, and if you're open, I'm open, as long as that person has actually grown and matured and like see what they've done wrong and not just trying to put the blame all on you, and they're willing to let the past go and move forward. I'm open. And that's something that I had to really, really learn. Let things go quicker. When I tell you I could hold a grudge like it was nobody's business, and all it did was leave me angry and mad and walking around with an attitude, or when you get mad at someone and then like everything they do gets on your nerves and you start criticizing everything they do because you're still just like angry and upset about that one thing that happened between y'all. I used to be one of those type of people. Now I feel like I let things go, and mentally I forgive even if I don't want that person in my personal space, especially if I've forgiven them and I've allowed them to stay in my space and it just escalated to something worse. Because that's how it goes sometimes. Somebody could do something to cross the line. You could confront them about it. You could, say F them. And then they apologize. They promise that it's going to be changed behavior, and it's changed behavior for so long. And then they do the same thing again. And it might be worse than the thing that they did before, because that's usually how people are. Like, it escalates. Let them go. Let them go, but forgive them so that you're not walking around angry and mad and bitter about the situation. Forgive the person, but don't allow them back into your personal space. No one is entitled to your personal space. I've had so many situations where people felt like they were entitled to my personal space, my privacy, or like they had some type of ownership over my personal space. I've been friends with people who get upset if I'm going out without them. If I'm friends with other people, they say things like, this is my friend, like they have some type of ownership or entitlement to me, and they do not. And I've had the same thing with relationships where I'm not allowed to go out. I'm not allowed to wear this. I'm not allowed to be around this person. And no one has ownership over your personal space or your privacy. I do not have to share every little detail about where I'm going and who's there. And listen, you either trust me or you don't. And it's the same thing with friendships. I do not have to tell you every little detail about my life, my day, my personal life, my sex life. I'm allowed to keep certain things to myself that I'm not comfortable with sharing. And if you want to share, if you feel comfortable sharing, that's fine. That does not mean that I feel comfortable sharing. And I feel like I see this happen a lot where people act like they have some type of ownership over their friends' personal space and they act all like territorial. And I just think that I don't find that as a compliment. I don't. I don't find it as a compliment at all. You're allowed to have other friends, and I am too. I'm allowed to be in a relationship and go out with my friends or my family and share my time with other people. I saw this quote online about how life is a series of returning back to yourself. That's why I feel like it's so important to have really good core values, have some integrity, have some self respect, have boundaries, morals, principles. Like, you need those things in your life because even if you stray away, eventually you will go back to that. There's just certain things that I will not do because it just isn't in my character as a person. I have realized that certain things, certain situations are simply not worth my time. I have learned to decipher which battle is worth fighting and which battle isn't worth my energy. And I think that that's something really important too, is learning when to ignore and knowing when you need to say something. But you don't have to say something about every little thing. And everybody is not going to like you. And that is okay as long as they are not disrespecting you. This is something that I really want to say before this episode comes to an end. And it is, what is the point of elevating yourself in your life if you are still treating yourself like you are the old version of you? What's the point? What's the point of elevating if in your mind you are still that girl that didn't have the job? You're the girl that didn't have the car, the apartment, that didn't have the body you want, that didn't, like, what's the point? Like, mindset is so important, and forgiving yourself is so important. And if you still feel like you have to hold back because, oh, I have such a past, I did this, I did that, so now you're not allowed to have an opinion or speak up or say something, or you're undeserving of something because of that, then what was the point? What was the point of elevating? What was the point of growing? And I feel like it's the same thing when I hear people be like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody who didn't want me before. Well, then what was the point of you elevating? You elevated because you knew that you need to make change in your life and you were unsatisfied and you were unhappy. So what was the point? If that was the case, you could have stayed the same and dated somebody who wanted that person. You elevated yourself because you wanted to be around people who were also elevating themselves. You wanted better for yourself and you wanted to be aligned with better people, like-minded people. So don't ever feel like, oh, I have to date down or I have to be friends with people who have less than me. They keep me humble. Like, that just seems like maybe you're intimidated, okay, by people who have the same things as you. What was the point of elevating if you're not actually going to live up to the standards that you want and allow life and great things to happen to you? Like, you're deserving, you are worthy. I am Simone, and this is the Relatable Black Girl, and I will see you guys next time.